baby. Oh, good evening, everyone. Guess what? Starship 11 is in space. It's circling. It's going around right now. It's about halfway through its almost full orbit, and it's going to splash down in the Gulf. So far, everything is going well on that flight. It's been textbook. The dummy deployments, went incredibly well. Everything's great. Meanwhile, while we're talking about that, Jared Isaacman is back on the table to be NASA administrator. Go figure that. He had a talk with Trump the other day. We'll report on that. The Senate just passed a record-sized defense bill in the 900s of billions, despite the fact that there's a shutdown going on. How do you do that? Michael's going to explain it to me in a minute. Not to be outdone, JP Morgan has launched a $1.5 trillion initiative to build critical tech over the next 10 years in our country. Now, we're also going to take a look at how VC is powering Seattle's space startup economy. And of course, the moment of the week, the chief of ESA said they need reusable rockets so they can compete with Elon. Well, yeah. And but then PitchBook puts out a report that says, you know what? If you're not doing an AI startup, good luck getting VC money. Well, you know what? We'll see how far we get with all these stories bouncing around like ping pong balls. From the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance, my name is Thomas Andrew Olson, and this is The Unknown Quantity. Okay, as you know, this program is brought to you by the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. And what do? Well, you know this. We champion and strengthen emerging space startups and space-adjacent enterprises worldwide through advisory, access, and advocacy. And I did a bunch of advocacy at IAC a couple weeks ago. Our pitch events and world-class boot camps fortify startups to be better investor-ready. Now, a lot of our work, especially this podcast, is supported by our listeners and fans like you. So if you just go to cscf.space/support and click that Plain to Stay donate button, a little in the tip jar every month makes a huge difference in everything that we do. Thank you so much in advance. Now, let me bring in my oldest space friend from way back in ancient history, Michael Lane, who finally got back from his sweat lodge experience. Michael, tell me how that went.
Hey, how's things?
All right.
Sweat Lodge, the cult of the space elevator was pretty successful last week. I'm not going to shy about that. I'm pretty happy.
Good.
Kool-Aid. We passed out around a lot.
We drink the Kool-Aid. Okay. I won't ask what was in that.
I was at Seattle Space Week, which we're going to talk about here in a bit, but It was a giant event. It wasn't big in terms of numbers, right? Seattle is a small town by comparison. AI Tech Week is next week. They have 50 events. We had 15 events, right?
Okay.
To put in perspective. Sure. Again, that's going to come up later. But our 15 events were solid. I went to about 6 of them. Amazon had a big thing talking about, how they do space, which is good, right? The AWS cloud is solid. If your choices are AWS or Microsoft's Azure, right? Like, okay. But that's the world, right? And this region is known as the Space Data Corridor. So we have a bunch of satellites. The ones that just launched a few minutes ago came from here. But we also have a big pipe to the rest of the world. So it's pretty interesting. I had quite a few really useful business development conversations that were super fun. So that's where we were drinking Kool-Aid and singing Kumbaya. It was fun. It was a good week, and so lots to catch up from that. So
Good.
yeah. And you, what's going on with you? You're back from
Me,
Australia. You're chilling. Just
yeah, I'm chilling. I've been working on, well, I've got like 39 different things I got to do for
yeah.
on 4 different initiatives. But other than that, hey, I'm fine. You know, the tax bills are due on Wednesday, and so I'm just kind of sweating through that. Um, yeah, I always blow it off until October. It's like
Until
every
the last possible second.
yeah,
Yep.
that's what's going on there. And we're also going through the normal sweat and waiting for Friday. We're supposed to close something significant on Friday. I hope that actually happens.
That would be good news to share on Monday. Fingers
Yes, it will.
crossed.
Absolutely. So I'm keeping every digit and
Yeah.
appendage crossed at this point. Just trying to keep my yap shut about it. And so
Was that something that came out of IAC, or was that? I know you've been working on some.
no, that was something that actually came out of ISDC.
Really?
Yeah, I met somebody there who turned me on to these two guys, and I thought, well, maybe we can do some kind of thing with them and
Yeah.
have some kind of relationship because of what they're doing and what we're doing, and we'll see how that works.
All
Then
right.
they brought up the idea, well, we're working on getting like a huge crap ton of money to do this and this and this. Why don't we
I am hopeful. I am hopeful
buy
for
into
you.
your
You've been
thing?
working on it for
So
a long time.
we'll,
Good.
this would be it's long overdue, and I'd sure like to see it happen, and I'm just
Yeah.
hoping it does.
Awesome. Fingers
So
crossed.
I'll know Friday.
All right. All right.
Absolutely.
Drink that Kool-Aid. Hey, Jason. Yeah, so Starlink is not in Kent. That's Blue Origin in Kent, Washington. That's about 15 miles to my left here. But Starlink is in Redmond, which is about 30 miles north of me, behind me. So
Probably neighbors with Microsoft.
they are. They are. Both Starlink and the Kuiper network are both being constructed basically next door neighbors in Redmond. Redmond is the satellite capital of the world now. More than 70% of the satellites in the sky came from within 50 miles of here. So
Okay.
yeah, pretty neat stuff.
It's funny speaking of Redmond because technically it just occurred to me this year is the 30th anniversary of Windows 95. You notice that no one talks about it.
Nobody talks about
no
it anymore.
celebration of any kind.
No.
They don't want to hear all the.
No, I think they're done with that.
Yeah.
All right. What do we got today?
Okay, well, actually, the next big thing, if SpaceX hadn't launched, a half an hour or so ago, the big thing would have been Jared Isaacman is back on the table.
All right.
To be a NASA administrator.
Are we going to talk about SpaceX, or are we just moving on straight to?
Oh no, we can talk about SpaceX. I just say what's going on. I thought, okay, we'll talk about. I mean, the flight is going. It's ongoing right now. As of right now, they seem to be doing okay. Looks like they're starting a reentry sequence. I've seen a little flame coming out the bottom of the thing, and they're only they were 167 kilometers above the Earth. Now they're only 99.4. So they're in their reentry sequence, and they're firing the retros. And so they haven't slowed down much though. They're still like 26.7 kilometers an hour of speed. They have a lot of speed to shed still. So we got a while. I have to look at that.
All right. Yeah, no, we were all watching it just before the show. We were all kind of.
Well, a lot of people are watching it too, especially people with money and people with connections and people. I mean, I'm sure Trump is glued to it himself. I mean,
I did notice the Gulf of America in the. They did a view of the trajectory.
Yep.
And where they're launching from Texas. And that little corner that used to say Gulf of Mexico now says Gulf of America on the prompter.
Here's an interesting little aside too. When you think in the same vein, when you think about it, right after the main stage separation, and it started its trip back to a landing also in the Gulf of America. I heard in the background, you always hear all these people applauding. Everybody's going nuts, they're screaming and yelling. I heard a bunch of people together all start shouting, USA, USA,
Really?
USA. Did you
All
hear
right.
that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I forgot about that, but
That was
interesting.
something I did not expect
No, I didn't either.
from that crowd.
Musk jumped into the live feed without kind of any warning or prompting to his people. So he just walked on screen, put his arms around everybody. He's like, "Hey, I'm hanging out." They're like, "Okay, hi,
Yeah.
boss." Right? What else? What else you gonna do? Right?
Right.
And then that was all live. So, all right.
Well,
So
at least he
Starship
wasn't wearing his
in
Doge
motion.
hat. Like, what do you do here again? You know, you don't want him breathing down your neck, when he's in that mood.
Probably not. No, probably not. All right, let's talk about Jared for a minute.
Yeah. How did that happen? Because it was Trump who withdrew the nomination because I guess he never donated to a Republican in his life.
Right.
And so everybody got upset. And probably maybe Trump also was under some pressure.
Yeah, but that was known, right? That was known.
We talked about this.
Complete background check. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. But now he's back on the table. Yeah, they actually had a meeting.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't, but there's very little info about actually what was said in the meeting.
Right.
But no one's in denial that it's happening.
The meeting happened, right?
It is
the meeting happened. That's all.
Would be.
It's all we know right now.
My question: What does that mean? What does that mean? Do you have to do the Senate hearings all over again, or can you just go with what you did? Take a vote.
I mean, they were days away from the Senate vote, and everybody was on board. Everybody was. So why would they have to? I mean,
Even
unless he has done something, buried some bodies in the backyard, I don't feel like there's anything that they can dig up, literally or figuratively, that he's done in the last 4 months that they didn't already know about. So, and God forbid they put a blue-blooded Democrat who never contributed to the Republicans before into this top spot, because you know what? The guy is hyper qualified, and we would all like it. I'm curious, what does Sean Duffy, the interim head of NASA, have to say about this? Which, again, there's no information, so it's just there's speculation on our part. And if Isaacman comes on board, does he have to conform with the policies that were already established by Duffy, meaning nukes on the moon, and 2026 and 2028 landings, and build a village?
Well, I would guess that he's going to be on the same page as Duffy about a lot of things. I mean, when Duffy stood up there and said, doing it with SLS is not sustainable. It's not a program. We need to change our tune. Well, that's what Isaacman was supposed to be brought in to do anyway, change the tune. And so he'll be right there. Thank you, my predecessor, for breaking that ground for me. And now I can just go and freaking do it.
Yeah.
Quickly.
Yeah. Did you know this? There's a thing in here. It was kind of like throwaway line. Isaacman is a seasoned space traveler, having led 2 private space flights with SpaceX in 2021 and 2024. Everybody knows that. What I didn't know is this next line. Shift 4, that's Isaacman's company, has invested $27.5 million in SpaceX, according to a 2021 filing. So I didn't know that he had a stake in SpaceX. By the way, that was a really good move, because he has made a lot of that equity has gone up a lot in the last 4 years. So good move on that.
Now,
did you know about his investment? Because I did not.
I did not. But But to appease the Senate, what he's probably going to have to do is not divest himself, but just make his shares non-voting or do something else. He needs to remove himself at arm's length
Right.
from those direct investments
Yeah,
to
definitely.
avoid a conflict of interest.
Yeah,
Trump had to do that in his first term.
yeah,
He
yeah.
had to walk away from a whole bunch of things he was involved in.
Right.
And presumably he did it again a second time.
I don't know that he did. I think I would have heard
Well,
that.
no one said he didn't, because
Yeah.
your guys would have been on top of that like stink on shit if he hadn't done it.
I don't know.
In a nanosecond, that would have been out there. Oh, he didn't divest himself. He
Yeah.
didn't.
All right. Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Yeah, I still don't want that job, man. Coming in as NASA administrator after Doge, after rifts, after the government shut down, after taking the axe to Mars and the other science programs, I would not want that job. And Isaacman is going to have some really tough days. But he never went back to shift 4, to my knowledge. So he is a free agent. He can go. Right. He can step right in. So that would be cool. I'd love that.
Well, we'll see what he does, because he hasn't done any press releases or anything himself. So we'll see where this goes. Maybe they're waiting until after the shutdown is resolved, and then they'll pay attention to this.
This isn't the show for that, but that shutdown looks like it's going to be a long process. So yikes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we've had long ones before. Somehow everybody lived.
Yep.
I mean, the last long one was over a month. It was about 5-6 weeks.
Yeah. Yep.
But the thing is, you know what? We've been living on continuing resolutions for over a decade.
Long time. It's insane.
We haven't had an actual budget. So,
Yeah. No, it's insane.
And Sean is yelling at us to talk about money.
Well, let's talk about money. Let's talk about
lots and lots of money.
All right. Let's talk about, well, we got another post here. I don't know who posted this guy, Justin Nerdrum. I don't know who he is. He's not in my network. This was a promoted LinkedIn promotion. And the opening line says, the Senate passed a $925 billion defense bill. The next line says this was October 9th last week.
That was the $925 billion defense bill.
Right. And it was only the defense bill, and it was only the Senate, so it's not an actual document that we can depend upon. It's almost just a trial balloon. It's almost just a trial balloon. But when the Congress comes back into place, I believe this will be the Senate's version.
I wrote back to you and said, how do you pass a defense spending bill during a shutdown?
Right, exactly. So this is not a defense spending bill during a shutdown. This happened just prior to the shutdown when the Senate was still in session. But I did think it was pretty interesting. I've been hearing rumor about some of this stuff.
We still had a shutdown.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah. So when the government comes back online, I believe that this will be the Senate's version that has to be reconciled with the House.
I don't know if anyone else is seeing Michael the way I am seeing Michael, but he's really slow.
Oh, drat. I'm fine on my side. Can you hear me? Anybody hear me? Can anybody hear me? Oh, live shows. I love live shows. Okay, Sean can hear me, so I'm going to keep going. I love live shows. I really do. All right. I'm going to just keep going on this post, and then I'll cut off for a minute. So the stuff that's thing about this is, yes, $925 billion. We knew that was coming. but in the quote, buried in 1,800 pages of provisions that kill a decade of red tape. So that's coming from
I
this guy,
like that
Justin.
part.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cut hundreds of outdated statutes. Commercial off the shelf gets priority over custom builds. Consumption based contracting. So that's like pay per use for cloud usage. And
Mm-hmm.
non traditional contractors exempt from DoD business rules, which honestly, thank God for that.
Yeah,
I,
they're going to go to the equivalent of a Space Act agreement, aren't they?
yeah, I hope so. So it was pretty interesting. As a former U.S. Marine, the idea of getting nearly $40 billion for base infrastructure at all bases is a big deal.
Yeah.
Micro reactors at forward bases, I think that's a giant thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of cool. I'm not going to read an 1,800-page Senate document, but if this is all true, and I don't know the source, I like what I'm reading from this guy's summary. So
Okay.
fingers crossed.
Right. And he makes a good point. He says, look, this is why it matters. Ukraine burns through drones faster than we approve contracts and hypersonics while we're stuck in requirement reviews. So the traditional acquisition can't match the threat velocity. Boy,
Right.
is that true.
Boy, is that true. No kidding. Yeah, so I mean, this was a LinkedIn suggested algorithm read, so I don't know the source, but my first impression of this is pretty accurate, and it certainly has an impact on our space industry. So that's why we're talking about, Sean, because it's still talking about space and money. There, did I
That's right. That's right.
make that
And,
cycle back to where we're supposed to be?
and as Sean says, though, Marines are good at accounting.
You know that's where I learned spreadsheets, buddy.
That's right.
That's
That's right.
I
Okay, well, you want to talk about a number? Let's talk about a really big number.
yeah.
$1.5 trillion.
I didn't think your intro gave that enough emphasis. It's not a B, it's a T.
Yeah.
Trillion.
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 But
What the hell is that?
It's over 10 years, though. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
150 billion
Right?
per year for 10
Yep.
years. But that's
Yep.
no matter how you add it up, that is a huge, huge commitment.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
And they're dedicated to just growing the strength and resiliency of America's economy. And it needs more speed and investment, and they're going to remove obstacles that stand in the way, like excessive regulations and bureaucratic delay and partisan gridlock. And education system not aligned to the skills we need. Oh, there's a big comment that's going to create a lot of partisan gridlock.
But I mean, seriously, talk about putting your money where your mouth is. I'm actually on board with that. Being solid blue, I can take the hit. It's a legitimate hit. Yeah.
And they're going in all the right places: defense and aerospace, supply chain, energy independence and resilience, and frontier and strategic technologies.
Yep.
Includes AI, cybersecurity, and quantum computing. So, and then there's 27 sub areas if you want to click the link. That's
I did click the link. I'm going to show it here in a second.
Okay.
I just want to talk a little bit for a moment about the source of this, right? So this is a JP Morgan press release. It just came out a few hours ago. I'm not going to name my source, but I have a friend at JP Morgan, and he's a super big space nerd. And he's like, to preempt the question, this is his direct quote. I'm not going to name his name. To preempt the question, I don't yet know how this program is going to be operationalized, which companies are a fit, etc., but it's a gigantic number. I'm gathering info and will share as I learn more. So there is more to come on this story, but I am so excited about this. Keep in mind, just we've reported on this show a couple times. Maybe it was 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, when the Trump administration took 10% of Intel.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was immediate talk about, is America going to create a sovereign wealth fund? And then in the last 3 weeks, the administration has taken a 10% equity stake in 2 rare earth element companies.
Yeah.
Because they want the strategic reserve capabilities of those rare earth elements. And then this, right? 1.5 trillion. So let's go back in time. A couple weeks ago, SpaceX had a $19 billion deal, and I'm like, this is the biggest deal of the year. And then the next week, Germany came in with $41 billion. I'm like, well, that's the biggest deal of the year.
And now JP Morgan says,
Well,
hold my beer.
hold my beer, exactly. And then Japan comes on with almost chump change with a $7 or $8 billion deal.
6.6, I think it was.
Right. But nobody used a capital T, right? Nobody
Japan did. It was $1 trillion.
$1 trillion yen. All right, fair enough, but
Technically,
not as big. All right.
That's how they put it out there.
Yeah, so here's JP Morgan saying, look, this is what it's going to take. We are going to JP Morgan will make direct equity and venture capital investments of up to $10 billion to help select companies primarily in the United States enhance their growth, spur innovation, and accelerate strategic manufacturing.
Okay.
So yeah, we don't know how that's going to play out. My friend gave me, almost no information other than this link, and we all know what we know at this point. But
well, I guess our job now is going to be to dive a lot deeper into this, and
yeah,
mostly to see how our buddies in our industries that we like,
right,
new space, etc., and start how they can get a little tiny piece of this.
I'm gonna grab the screen for a second. Okay, yeah, Sean put the no, sorry, go ahead, Sean. Sorry, I didn't see you had the up there. Put that 27 links, the 27 strategic. Yeah, so the sub areas are pretty interesting. We really like the section that's in purple, defense and aerospace, but the green section, supply and advanced manufacturing, that's all pharmaceutical precursors, advanced manufacturing, mission critical real estate. Well, if you're building something on the moon, that's mission critical as far as I'm concerned. Critical mining and mineral processing. If you're going to the moon, that's so, like, you can read this stuff and say, oh, well, yes, there's the purple section that is just space launch, unmanned systems, spacecraft, etc.
Like critical minerals? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right. And then they've got a section in orange, which is nuclear energy and distributed energy. That's all space. Solar is all space. Then there's frontier and strategic technologies, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, which Sean's always talking about, edge computing, which everybody this week has been talking about, building the internet in the sky, in space, which I think is a really fascinating idea. So all of these 27 sub areas, many of them come back to space technology, right? This is what Tom's always talking about, space scalable, right? You can build it for the ground and use it in the sky.
Right.
Yeah.
They also have this thing called mission critical real estate. Now, they're being very practical in their description of it. Mm-hmm. It could include property on the moon.
Yep.
Property in high orbit.
Yep.
Or property in a Lagrange point.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it was an unexpectedly good day when I got this message. I was like, oh, well, that's neat. Yeah. So, uh, yeah, uh, $1.5 trillion. Yeah, they're. I'm going to read Sean's comment here. In 2020, while working at the bank, I read JP Morgan's space projection. They were seeing the evolution and getting ready to make its move. So that was 5 years ago, and here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Jason is saying on the chat that Alabama is getting retooled. It probably is. That's probably true. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If,
Yeah.
if Huntsville wants to stay in the game at
Yeah.
this point,
Well, and they've got Space Command. By the way, I don't know if I told you, they did not get Space Force headquarters. That's still staying in Washington, D.C.
We've settled that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, on a previous show.
Yeah, I don't remember if I had said that. Okay.
I don't know who said Space Force or when, but I'll just let it go. It's Space Command,
It is,
and all the jobs that go with it. By the way.
Yeah.
The Space Command has been around for decades. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah. So I don't know, $1.5 trillion. I'm going to say it again, and each time I say it, we get a bigger deal. So I'm going to say this is the biggest deal of the year. So now I'm daring the universe. I'm daring the universe to come up with another bag of money for space. So yeah. I'm curious to see how JP Morgan rolls that out. You know, how much of it is their money. Because they don't, it's important to note, their total capitalization of deposits only reaches slightly more than $4.5 trillion. So they can't put 1.5 trillion into this themselves. This has got to be them aligned with all of their customers and all of their investors to kind of reshuffle this money. So how much of this is JP Morgan's money versus how much is their clients' money? It's going to be interesting to see this roll out. I'm excited, and I don't have a front row seat, but I'm going to get as close to this as I can. So we'll see.
They're probably going to have a similar. I'm going to guess they're going to have a similar strategy to what the old Colony Fund initiative had.
Yep, that's
most of it's pretty plain vanilla. Then but that's very venture oriented and very risky. And then you have a little tiny piece that's like adventure oriented. They may lose their shirt on it, but it's worth the shot to do it.
You know, most people, like I've known you for nearly 30 years. Most people don't know what your fund was about. So why don't you just kind of give a 2-minute commercial on what that thing was intended to be?
Well, it's now ancient history, but it was basically the precursor for what equity crowdfunding has become today.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have the tools to do the job. I had this vision because it was in 1999, 2000. I was working on this, and we seemed to be we were just having this kind of kumbaya moment back then. And we're all thinking we're heading into the 21st century. We all want to do great things. The Mars Society just been founded, and everyone was all excited about that. And I thought, okay, how are we going to pay for this? Because not every government in the world is going to want to put money in this. But what if people all over the world could? What if we could crowdfund our own future with a large kind of equity crowd fund that would be any mom and pop could put in $1,000 minimum, and not more if they didn't want to. And I looked at that as the equivalent of 19th century mining stocks.
Yeah.
You buy these things and you sit on them for a generation and bequeath them to your kids, and they find themselves, filthy stinking rich one day because you're investing in all these different things. It's been going on for decades. It's not like your typical VC fund or an angel fund that might expire after 8 to 10 years. And you need to grab those returns and grab them quick and move on to the next thing.
Yep.
This was something for people with dedication, faith, and patience. And we put those words exactly on the website.
Right.
And that's what it's really going to take. And as it turned out, we were right.
You were right.
You were right. We had
25 years early, but you
fast
were right.
forward 25 years. Dedication, faith, and patience is the only thing that got us to where we are right now.
Yep. Dedication, faith, and
Forgive me the
patience.
rant.
The only thing I wanted you to rant.
But our
Preach, brother, preach.
okay.
If I was starting
Okay, well,
from zero, and I was trying to build, let's say, a space elevator company, Morty, I would seriously consider the plan that Tom just outlined. I really would. Yeah, it was a good plan. So faith, dedication,
and maybe
patience.
they're using it right now.
Yeah.
I know Starbridge Capital used some aspects of what I was proposing back then,
Yeah.
and they even gave me credit for it. It's the only company that did. So
yeah, no, it's real there.
yeah, we're just way ahead of our time, and mostly because in the early 2000s, everybody's yelling at me, "What are you going to invest in?"
Right.
And we were looking at stuff. It's
now
like
you'd have your choices, right? Yeah.
now, oh God, now you can cherry pick all sorts of interesting things, and a new one comes up every week. We had 8 new ones come up from the kids, just 2 weeks ago in Sydney, and they were all brilliant ideas, all of them. Far greater than I ever expected. I thought 2 or 3 will come out kind of interesting. No, they were all like great.
Yep.
And so it was one of my favorite type of events where I really make the judges work for it.
I love it. Love it.
They had to really sweat their skulls to figure out who we're going to give this to. Shit, they're all good.
Well, I hate to throw some rain on that parade, but let's move over to the TechCrunch article. If you're not an AI startup, good luck raising money from VCs. And oh my God, is that true? Oh my God.
I know VCs, they already poured 193 roughly billion into that industry so far this year.
Right.
Out of a total of 366.8 billion, according to Bloomberg. And that's
2/3,
just a little more than half.
Yeah.
Of everything the VCs have put out so far this year have gone into AI.
We thought last week when you did the Space Capital report, it's like, holy crap, 5 billion in a quarter in 90 days, 5 billion moved into our industry. Look how badass we are. And then AI comes along and reminds us, Walmart last week comes along and reminds us that our industry that we think is really, really cool is only a small piece of a very big ecosystem.
Yeah.
But at least we're there.
Yeah.
We're on the there map, and we're adding value. That image I drew, I'll have to find it and share it again someday, where it shows that it used to be years ago that space is kind of on the outside looking in on all these other industries over here. Well, now space is in the middle and all the industries are surrounding it, and there's arrows drawn between all of them because space has something to offer everybody and everybody has something to offer space now. And that's happened too. That was my prediction in 2008.
Yep. And that was also part of the Colony Fund thesis, right? That in the same way that you used to say internet company, that there was such a thing once upon a time as an internet company.
Right.
Now currently there are space companies, but fast forward into the future, there won't be a distinction for internet companies, and there won't be a distinction for space companies. It's just going to be, you are a company that has a space strategy. You're a company that has an internet strategy. Yeah.
Right. You're a mining company you're a terrestrial mining company that has operation on the moon.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Which is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Probably out of that 1.5 trillion.
Somewhere. Right. Exactly.
I'm thinking. Just thinking.
Oh my God. $1.5 trillion. You could build my entire elevator out of the interest payment on that much money. Right? That's a lot of money.
We need to get our crew together. We need to start making pitches, man. This is and get all our guys. The guys who are building companies, guys like Joe Luttrell, Guys
Yeah.
like that. Guys
Yeah.
looking for expansion capital. I already know
Yep.
one other guy who wants to do expansion capital. And so we tie all this together. And it's like we're making connections now, and which is what we do. We actually do that for
Right.
everyone.
Yeah. 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 Well, and Jason's like, how much capacity could we push, right? If we got all of our nerd friends together, how much capacity could we influence or control?
Right. We'll never know until we try.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got the winter.
Yeah. It's going to be this winter is going to be pretty interesting. You've got some good news coming your direction. I've got some good news coming my direction. I think it's going to be interesting. This
Meanwhile,
is going to be a good winter.
Sean wants to see a caterpillar on the
Yeah.
moon. The problem is the new caterpillars for a long time now, they've had that black box in there, and they want to do the software upgrades themselves.
Right, yeah.
And your caterpillar just stops dead in the middle of the field while it's doing that. And so, yeah, good luck with that, especially with that 1.5 second differential. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what the deal is. AI is sucking up all the oxygen and all the cash in the room, but here in Seattle, they're very blurred together. Those things, the AI companies,
right.
the AI companies are definitely thriving in the Seattle region. But the space companies are good, right? They're, yes, everybody in this industry is missing money. There was a very interesting talk. We're going to try and get him on the show. I can't think of what his last name is. His first name is Yuk, Y-U-K. He is running a insurance company that is focusing on space, but his mission's bigger than that. His mission is, look, there's a money problem in this sector. If you're a mining company or a farming company or a manufacturing company, you build your factory, you sell your product, and you go to credit organizations. Thanks, Sean. His name is Yuk Chi Chan. You go to credit facilities and you ask for a loan, right? You've got your farm as collateral, you've got your factory as collateral, you've got your inventory as collateral, and you just ask for a loan. What's happening here in this industry is it's forcing companies to go public when they don't want to get any more trades for equity in the VC market, right?
Exactly.
Series A, B, C, D becomes more and more expensive, and you don't want to give that money up, that equity up, but you need to get cash, and there's no place for it. He's like, the money is in the insurance companies, and if the insurance companies see this industry as a real industry, you can get money. So it was a pretty revelatory conversation. We're gonna bring him in to be on the show and let him explain in his own words. But it was eye opening.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that nobody else wants to talk about a lot. We bring in the lawyers. Now we're going to bring in insurance guys.
Yeah,
this is going to be okay. Let's go.
Yeah,
because up until now we've been using captives. If they had any insurance at all, they set up their own captive.
Yeah.
Funded it independently. So, but regular mainstream insurance off their mainstream insurance grid, that would be a huge new and better move.
That would be so much money, like more than I have ever imagined in this industry.
Well, more than JP Morgan has even.
Right. Yeah.
A lot more.
Yeah. A lot more. Right.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time to have an industry grow up and get the insurance people involved. I'm pretty well known for the phrase, if you can't insure it, you can't build it. and and so I immediately made a friend with Uke when I said that. I'm like, well, yeah, because Tom, you and I have finance backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
So we know how some of that stuff works. Yes, it's all dusty and 30 years old, but yeah,
right.
Yeah, so that's J.P. Morgan and TechCrunch. What else you got?
What else we got? Well, let's see. I had something here. What was it? What was it? What was it? Oh yeah, there's this thing on GeekWire on
Right,
how
yeah.
venture capital is powering Seattle's space economy.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a bit. So there were actually 3 or 4 articles. GeekWire covered some stuff. Alan Boyle covered some other. A guy named Julius for the Seattle Today magazine. There were reporters all over at these events.
Well, that's what I was thinking. The event you went to is a huge event, and
Yeah.
and it's probably why articles like this are coming out now, because some folks are waking up and saying, "Hey, Seattle's become this hub,
Yeah,
in the country for innovation, like Colorado or Texas."
Yep.
And in a lesser way, Florida.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, nobody thinks Florida when they think space. Why would they?
Yeah, I know. Or space innovation and entrepreneurship. That's where no one's building a sense of community there. And I still want Space Florida to explain themselves on that topic.
That's a really worthwhile question, right? I know Craig Bearwalt runs the Seattle Space Happy Hour, and he's built this hobby, because it's not his full-time job. He's built this hobby into happy hours in LA, San Francisco, Denver, Washington, D.C., and Florida. He's got like 7 sites now. But he's a Seattle guy. He's like, nobody is building this sense of community, this sense of partnership. So I'm going to put together a beer, and we're going to have these happy hours once a month. And now he's got like a national network of happy hours because Florida wasn't doing it. Texas wasn't doing it. So our Seattle guy who's like, opening in the market, I'll do it. So yeah, we have a really good community here. ISU really pioneered a bunch of stuff. Sean's like, they think mouse when they think of Florida.
Yeah, well, it's true.
So this GeekWire article is cool. There were several articles that were all pretty interesting. This guy at the bottom, the younger guy, is our friend Chris. We've had him on the show. That's right. I forgot we've had him on the show. He smart kid, young, trying to build something good. Had a really good set of panels and events for himself. The Seattle ecosystem's pretty strong. I'm glad to be here. I'm just far enough outside in Tacoma, I'm just a little farther south, so I don't go to all the things, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And while we've been yammering about all this, I guess Starship 11 came down okay. I haven't seen any report that says, "Oh, it blew up and it's a terrible disaster. Oh, the humanity." I haven't seen that. So we're so busy in our conversation, I forgot to look over here and see what's going on. And now it's just the SpaceX logo and a blank screen. So I guess they're done
broadcasting.
Yeah.
Well, you had the duh moment of the week. Tell us about the duh.
Oh, yes. Yeah, well, it's just for the title alone. There's a Space Daily article from a couple days ago, and the chief of ESA, Joseph Aschbacher, said that, Europe needs reusable rockets to catch Musk's SpaceX. Again, the
Oh my
duh
God.
moment of the week. I mean, they had a year-long hiatus when they didn't do anything, and that ended with the first launch of the Ariane 6,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not reusable.
Mm-mm.
And
Mm-mm.
now he's saying we have to really catch up and make sure we come to the market with a reusable launcher relatively fast. Well, who are you going to pay to do that? You're not going to pay Ariane Space to do it. They don't care,
Right.
obviously.
They have no incentive.
Alessandria doesn't care. I'm just
Uh-uh.
looking at Airbus doesn't care.
No, there's what's that German rocket company that's trying to get off the ground?
Oh yeah. They might care, but they're too small to date, and are still trying to get the bugs out.
Right.
If you wanted to include now in terms of ESA, as far as ESA partners go, the UK is still in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though there was Brexit, the UK stayed into ESA network.
Oh,
And
I
so
forgot that.
there's a couple of
Yeah.
British companies like Skyrora I'm thinking of
Right. Yeah.
that might
Yeah.
be able to make a difference. And there's a couple of others that could,
Yeah.
but no Euro-based ones are going to pick up the slack right now. So he can say all these right things, but he should have said them 10 years ago.
Right. Right.
I
They're
mean,
like,
the Falcon 9 has 100 launches this year alone.
yeah, bonkers.
And one of them's been reused like 20 times or something now. It's insane.
Yeah, I don't know how they think they're going to catch up, but it comes back to that thing we keep talking about: sovereignty, right? Nationalism, and
Yep.
yes, ESA is more than one country, but if they don't figure out how to get their own stuff into the sky, they're going to have to piggyback with us. They certainly aren't going to the Russians anytime soon.
No.
And I don't think they're going to China. So either they figure it out themselves or they're paying somebody else to do it.
Well, it's something Scott Adams used to say years and years ago, one of his books. It's called The Dilbert Future, I think, from 1996, maybe. And he said, if you're not making your own stuff, you're at the mercy of those who make it for you.
Yep. Yep. I do like this. So he's talking about the ESA's Ministerial Council in Germany next month. We're on the right path to getting this done. Of course, they're making they're having that meeting in the same country that just reported $41 billion over the next 6 years to put in the next 5 years to start building their own industrial capabilities in space. So I suspect there is more to this story. And I'm not saying you should put these two stories together, but I am conjoining these two stories where Germany commits $40 billion and ESA says, hey, I think we need to have our own capacity. I'm just going to make that bet. I'm going to sit on that prediction, and we'll wait to see what happens next month or the month after that. But,
yeah, well, what got everybody started in building their own capacity? It was a long time ago, actually. It started with ITAR.
Oh, you know what I think about ITAR.
The Italian satellite industry were buying these really high-end components for their satellites from 3 U.S. companies based in the Northeast.
Yeah.
Once ITAR kicked in, they couldn't get those components anymore. So guess what? They built their own factories and started making them themselves.
Yep.
And now you have 3 companies in the Northeast that are struggling because they had this great international export contract and adding to the balance of trade for this country. And now they're struggling if they're even in existence anymore.
I have said it many times that ITAR is the best rule if you're not an American company.
Yep. Our guy at Equilibrium just said that absolutely. I went to Australia because, I wanted to work in America. I wanted to work at American companies. I wanted to learn everything and build shit. No, ITAR sent me to Australia, basically.
Right. Well, here's I couldn't say it better, Jason. Boo Itar. That's his comment. Boo Itar.
Yeah, that's the easy solution. Just boo them from afar.
Yep. Yeah, Jason, Rocket Lab is going to Germany, and so is Planet. Planet's going to Germany also. I didn't know about Rocket Lab, but I know Planet is.
Well, I thought Planet already has a big thing going in Germany, and they were
they expanded,
and they just spent a whole bunch more money to increase their capacity.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Cathari, of course, that's what we're here for, is to read the news so you don't have to. Just kidding.
The good, the bad, and the really ugly.
Some of it's pretty fun. I would say this was a pretty good week for space, though. Yeah. I dare the universe to come up with a bigger than $1.5 trillion deal, though. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. All right, so we have 5 minutes left. Next week, drum roll, please. What do you want to say?
Next week. Well, it's a special show. I mean, we do have a guest on Thursday. His name is Daniel Tompkins. He's from a company he started called Grow Mars.
Yep.
So this is going to be a study on off-world agriculture and how we might get it done, and probably making money while he does it. So I can't wait to meet this guy and talk with him. I mean, it's Thursday. That's what I meant. Next week, Thursday. Our next program.
Right. Our next program, Thursday.
Our next show coming up Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern. But we're also it's a special show. We're going to stretch it out to 90 minutes as we are celebrating our first anniversary as a podcast. We've done this for a year, Michael. My God.
Yes,
a year.
Awesome.
There's a lot of water under the bridge. So we have a lot to review, and we're going to reach out and invite everyone who's ever been a guest to at least come on and make comments in the chat, that night. And we'll try to have a rousing conversation about where we've been. I want to look at where we've been and where we hope to go in the future. I think we have a lot of good ideas, and we're going to expose those to the universe. Hopefully a caring universe.
Hopefully.
Oh, Sean.
I just saw that comment. Yeah. No, it's a year, man. It's been a year. So for folks who are kind of like joining us late, we started doing this just twice a month, and it was cool. And it grew, and then we not just doubled down, but quadrupled down and shifted it from 2 times a month to 2 times a week. So
that started in March.
Yeah. So, but it started here, so that's pretty neat. Pretty happy about that.
We're going to take everyone we've ever known who's been on this program. We're going to invite them in. I don't know if. And if some of them really have something significant to say, we can give them a temporary link. They can come in on the restream, and why not? We'll blow the servers out and just have a good night.
Yeah, it should be fun. Yeah. So definitely make sure you make it. Tompkins is an interesting cat. He you never know who's going to show up. So there's Daniel Tompkins, just super excited guy who wants to talk about growing stuff. He's sometimes known as the plant whisperer. And then there's Dr. Tompkins, who shows up with his PhD hat on and gets super technical really fast. So gonna have to kind of bring him in and shepherd him around a little bit, but he's super fun. So and Cathari is pointing us to a thing. Link. I'll take a look at that afterward. Thank you.
Yeah, is AI a bubble? There's another guy I've been chatting with on LinkedIn lately. He has all sorts of interesting things to say about AI and writes whole articles about it. It's not appropriate to, he's not a space guy, so it's not appropriate to invite him on the show, but I would if I could, because this guy is wicked smart. I'll give you his name later. He's guy Chip something. He's but he writes a lot of very just focused at the target articles about AI and where it's going and why it shouldn't be going the way it's going, and goes into a deep analysis of why. This is, if you want AI to be really AI, this is what it needs to do. Cool. And it's not doing that. It's doing this over here, and everybody's focused on that. And you're never going to get where you want to go that way. You need to go over here. And so it's interesting. He's written a bunch of articles on it, and they're all worth reading. The guy is sharp.
All right. Time to say goodnight, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Come on in again. And of course, for Michael Wayne and Sean Key, I am Thomas Andrew Olson from the news desk at the Center for Space Commerce and Finance. Keep watching the skies, folks. They're coming.